Kravitz. If you have not followed his Triple H horse racing podcast, you're missing out. It's one of the best podcasts in the country.
Hello and welcome to the HHH Racing Podcast, episode 9 of The Leaderboard, sponsored by our good friends at TwinSpires. I'm your proud host, Howard Kravitz, along with the contest players and co-hosts, Noah Maher and Matt Miller. We are here to discuss our usual wonderful variety of contest information, including this past weekend's results of the Smarty Jones Stakes contest with a very impressive winner once again, may I say. And then talk about the big contest this Saturday. It's the $1,000 buy-in KDBC and NHC contest involving the Fairgrounds and Tampa Bay Downs. Very interesting. Please make sure you hit the subscribe button on the bottom right-hand side of the screen, notification bell on the top right, and smash that like button below the video player. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor, and follow us on X at HHH Racing Pod. Gentlemen, how you doing tonight? First, I'm going to go to Noah, who is just, boy, he is struggling with that horrific, horrible, close to 80-degree weather in Florida, visiting our good friend Kyle Roscoe. Unfortunately, Noah, I know you are leaving tomorrow back to the almost as warm UK, Lexington, Kentucky. How you doing?
I'm good. And I've had a hell of a week down here at I think it's the West Palm Beach area. Stayed with Charlie and his family for a couple of days and went to Gulfstream on Saturday and Sunday. And, you know, it's always nice when you have luck one of those days, to help pay for the trip and just makes things better overall. So Saturday, Sunday there, and then spent a couple of days at the Roscoe residence here and what he likes to call the Bayside Bunker. So having a good week so far. Yeah,
I'll tell you what, Matt, just another example of how close our podcast family are. We take care of each other. We travel throughout the country and host each other and whatnot. Matt, you're shaking your head. What's wrong, my friend?
Did you see the video of him golfing today? It's really, no, it's not funny. It looks effortless. It is so smooth. I'd like to think that they caught you with one lucky shot, but what did you say? -2 on the back nine. It's good for you, buddy. That's really
Thank
good.
you.
Yeah, Matt, he hadn't played since we played with him, actually, the Breeders' Cup. So just a little almost 2 months off, and just goes on the back nine and shoots
Right
without his own clubs, by the way, Matt. He's using Kyle's clubs. Of course, they're both lefties, as you know, Matt. So anyway, we're here to talk about contest play at TwinSpires. And Matt, we're going to start with you because I'll tell you what, we did a live show, of course, with this past Saturday, myself, you, and Jackson. And I'll tell you what, a lot of interesting things happened, including an interesting odds change that you don't get a glimpse of before the race is actually run. We can talk about that a little bit. But let's just go right to the contest results from this past Saturday. Whoops, that's not going to be good. But there's the beautiful TwinSpires we see, which is always good to see at this time of year, especially because it looks a lot warmer. Nick Severs, Matt, $4,800. These totals were completely nutso because, again, you're starting with a $250 bankroll. We're seeing almost 20x for the winners. The top three got seats to the KDBC. Stephen Wells second, Steven Zare third. You nailed it on the head, my friend. You said going to the last race on our live Weekend Warriors show, and if you're not watching that, why not, people? Because the viewership's been great. The action has been outstanding. You said about 4,000, Matt, would be the target score. Sure enough, Steven Zare finished in third place at that cut line of 38.50. Again, with a starting bankroll of 250. I could take my calculator out, but it's about what, 18, about, you know, almost 19-ish X. I mean, absolutely incredible.
Yeah, those are high totals. And look, just for perspective on the TwinSpires tournament landscape, this is one of the lower priced big Saturday contests. There's one coming up this weekend. I think it's a $1,000 entry. This one's a $500 entry. But the bottom line is, with a prize pool that includes NHC seats, you're going to see people, especially in the live bankroll space. I say this all the time. We don't get a ton of at-bats, and this is a valuable prize. It therefore stands to reason that people are going to go for it a little bit more than normal. yeah, these are still pretty high totals. So, Justin, I think he got cash breakage, Justin Sampson. So I think the cut really was a Justin Danley. And yeah, those are high numbers to not be a winner of the tournament, but that's how it goes sometimes.
Yeah, we should also give shout out, like you said, to Justin Sampson and Justin Danley, who got some cash prizes. Speaking of contest players, Matt Majunkin, our good friend who always does well in contests, seemingly is in the chat. He said he managed to escape with a win today. I'd love to just take any win. I don't care.
No, I am
into it or whatever. Despite not reading the rules, that was a win place contest prior to buying my seats. Matt, do you know about this?
I do, and it's funny. I'm going to yell at him. We talked about this. I think this was like the tip of the week last week or the week before. There are win and place only format tournaments at TwinSpires. They are pretty few and far between. Every single person who's participated on TwinSpires has made the same mistake of not checking to see, are all bet types allowed or is it just win and place? And I think most of us that like the flexible format of the full live bankroll experience, you see it's win and place and instantly you think you're at a disadvantage or I didn't want to do that or whatever. It's just it's a different kind of contest. And yeah, okay, read the rules. Nice job.
We always like to focus on contests, but I don't want to disrespect the people in the chat. I'm going to answer this question very, very quickly from Mike Caroli, and Noah, feel free to talk for 15 seconds based on my response. Mike Carmoli thinks during the show, a question for the experts on December 20th, Wolfie's Dynaghost, who, by the way, I believe was 7 years old when he broke that record. Now he's 8. Broke the North American record for 9 furlongs on the turf. He did it at Gulfstream, by the way. Should this be front page news, or is this just a freak result due to conditions? A few quick things. I don't know the final time. It was around like 144 or something. Completely, might have been 143. The turf was very firm. The rails were out, Mike. Just for perspective, and don't quote me on this, ladies and gentlemen, I believe the buyer came back like 101 or 102. It was not like Ghost Zapper 125-ish or something, or Flightline, it wasn't crazy. Based on the buyer speed figure, my general opinion there from Mike is that it should not be front page news. It was look, he's a nice horse, obviously, but the turf was very firm and the rails were out. And obviously, because he got a 101, and you can talk about this, Noah, quickly, that sort of tells you that the track was playing that fast, because compared to other races, certainly it was fast, but not like crazy fast.
Yeah, otherwise we would have seen a big number, like more towards the 110 type of range. And we saw him run a big fig at Churchill. I think it was 3 weeks or a month before that. So now that I think about it, I think that race at Churchill on the buyer figure, might have actually come back faster on the buyer speed figure than the Gulfstream race. And I'm not exactly sure. I know both were in kind of low to mid 100s.
Yeah.
But to your point, I think there was some aiding definitely going on with that turf course.
Nick Severs, Matt, let's see what he did. I mean, you can talk about it. At the very end in race 10, and race 10 was the Smarty Jones, and I have that queued up too also, Matt, if we want to, again, not break down the race, but just talk about who won and the actual results. He really made you talk about a two-hitter, Matt. Here it was in race 2. He had 150 to win on the 7. Now I went back. Race 2, I think, was a price, if I recall, because we talked about on the show, like 13 to 1, which is really quite amazing there. And he spent, I think he had 2 entries. I could double check that, but he spent, 2/3 of that entry on a win bet on a double-digit horse, which I know that you're really impressed with, Matt, and everyone should. But I know you're not one to sort of reach for horses, as you sometimes give me a hard time. And I'm totally cool with that, about trying to reach for something that's not there or blah, 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 or tell a story. Obviously, whatever story that Nick told himself with that horse worked out well. And then he just played a 1x2 double for 27.65 on that end, and then just chilled the rest away, because why the hell not?
Yeah, I think if my memory's correct, and it's not worth looking up, I think I hit first in that tournament in the first race with maybe 800 something bucks and was feeling pretty good. And next thing you know, Nick, who's a follower of our friend Emily, an optics user, and I know, they were doing, I think, a Twitter Spaces or something like that. And I certainly nothing wrong with taking others' opinions and whatever, but I think they were very, very, very high on that 7-horse, and not only bet it to win, but so the win bet pops up, and everyone, starting with me, sitting in first, is like, "Oh my gosh, these totals are getting ridiculous already."
Here it is, Matt.
The fact that you're looking at a massive win bet on a 13-to-1 shot, and so he immediately went to first place, and the next race goes off. It doesn't seem like that big a deal. And then you realize this was a 1-2 punch. He actually had the double using that same long shot. And so there's your 2-hitter, and he was golden for the rest of the day. He's been on fire generally, and so I've got all sorts of nice things to say about his play lately and what he's been doing. But if you look back at those bets, these weren't, what's also impressive about him, he wasn't spreading around. There's not a bunch of losers sprinkled in with the winners. He pretty much just cold cocked this stuff. So, I don't think taking a 10-to-1 shot into 3 horses in the next race for $50 a piece is exactly crazy, and it won him the tournament. So terrific job.
Stephen Wells finished. By the way, I've got to say this, guys, because Matt, I've tried to sell some of our podcast friends on this, and people finally, I've convinced a few people. I don't know about everyone in the family. I'm going to address this to you, though, no in particular. Look at this 7-horse that won. We're not going to show the replay, but again, I love the non-effort in the previous race, and I don't know anything about this horse, guys, at all. Honestly, it's the first time I'm actually looking at the PPs, Noah. But this horse ran a 69-2 back, right? And then before the race that he ran on Saturday, he ran a 9 buyer, losing by 23. And a lot of people, including Nick, obviously, I shouldn't say a lot of people, but some people like this horse. It's a yin-yang game, man. I mean, the horses bounce all over the place, and you can't be discouraged by what happened in the last race unless you feel like the horse is just on a complete downturn.
Yeah, and I didn't actually look at the race, but I mean, he was favored last out, and I have to assume that was probably a similar level, if not the same level as what they ran on Saturday. So,
well, that was a maiden claimer. So he ran a maiden. Sorry to interrupt you. No, that was a maiden claiming 10, where he was 60 cents to the dollar. This is probably non-winners of 2, right? I'm just claiming non-winners of 2. Trying to look at the condition here. Okay, but anyway, I don't see it. I'd have to go back down. Sorry. Yeah, there you go. It was an Archie bred condition, non-winners of 2.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, so it was very similar to what he had run, and he was bet to favoritism in that spot. So obviously, it was so bad that it didn't make sense, and came back with a big effort. And that was a great call by Nick.
Stephen Wells, Matt, for second, put $1,200 to place. Interesting strategy on Strategic Risk, who actually won the race. It's interesting that he decided to go with a place bet instead of a win bet. We didn't talk to Stephen, but based on what you may know or may not know about Stephen, Matt, and based on where he was, obviously he didn't feel like he needed to put a win bet on the horse.
It's a perfect play, and it's actually going to be the reason behind my tip of the week at the end of the show. So a tip of the cap to Stephen Wells, who did exactly what the situation called for. So more to come on that later.
Okay.
Steven Zare did great. Justin Sampson. I mean, we can look at all the plays, but the bottom line is this was Nick Seaver's tournament from start to finish. So he definitely threw a whole bunch of people off their game with very high totals. I see a comment from Chris Couples in the chat that his plan got thrown off. Mine definitely got thrown off. I was just not expecting that quickly, that many people to be off to the races later. So,
Matt, here's an interesting debate, though, and I think we should end the conversation from this past Saturday with this question. And Noah, please chime in. Strategic Risk played 440, Matt, to place there, which vaulted him up. He would not have paid 440 to place if a sort of a long shot came in second. I think it's pretty fair to say. If it was one of the chalkier horses, we're talking about 320, 340 most likely. Now, that's the only problem with playing a place bet. And I'm not crapping on his decision. I mean, it was an unbelievable play, and he did actually finish second. But when you are betting a place bet, you are a little bit suspect to a chalk 1-2 and not getting the payout that you think you might need.
Yeah, just pan down a little bit and you'll see this was a wide open race. And I'm going to assume, with no clear dominant favorite, my guess is if there was a 1-5 shot in the race, he probably wouldn't have bet to place because it could have paid 220 in that case. But I'm just going to guess that a quick scan of the odds board told him this is safe. No one's getting all of the place money here. It'll, whether it pays 3 or 320 or 280, it's enough money.
And no, I think strategic risk. I know you weren't on the show, Matt. You can confirm. I think he took a lot of late money. I'm sure the double had him, but if I recall, Matt, he was like 9-2, 4-1 as they were going to the gate.
Correct.
So Noah maybe just figured no matter who finished in second, if it paid 10-20, he was going to get that 440 back anyway.
Yeah, I completely agree with Matt. It's a little more predictable to see and maybe know the outcome if you got a big favorite like that. Like two tournaments back, I was even considering playing place money on Howard Wolowitz, but that wasn't going to be enough for me, so had to adjust. And sometimes that's the case, but other times it works out just because you've got that wide open nature of a field like the Smarty Jones.
I just got a little PTSD. You had to bring out my namesake. I mean, it was worse for you, but it was bad for me too. So, but anyway, that's a good example. And then Matt, I know you did well in the cash contest. Congratulations to everyone did well. Do we need to talk about the overall leaderboard, Matt, or we move on?
So I've got a few names I want to mention, and then we'll talk for a second about the status of the tour. This is going to take 60 seconds in total. I just went back and looked at the prior week. Look, I didn't click on every single tournament, but I tried to see who was doing well. And names like Nick Sievers, Neil Thornberry, Steven Zare again, David Smith, the current reigning BCBC champ, Tim Langlois, Cheryl Nepper, and Dr. Tang. You've all done very well lately, so congratulations on the week. For purposes of the tour, this is now updated through a couple days ago. One thing interesting for people to know is that there haven't been a ton of tournaments with points available. This is a little bit of a longer session, so I think these things are a little more spread out. But, I would say when you look at 1 through 10, those are all the usual suspects for the most part. But definitely seeing Kevin and Steven up top instead of names like Petruniak or Miller or Anderson. There's a couple new sheriffs in town right now, and we got to sort this out. And yes,
and there's the overall leader. There's the overall leaderboard. Matt Majonkin, who just was in the chat, is 6th right now. Our good buddy Brad Anderson, 4th. You're 2nd. Ryan is 1st. Steven's there, by the way, up to 3rd.
Yes, that's the only real change we've seen in maybe the last couple months. This board for the season has otherwise stayed pretty stable.
Yeah, very exciting. I just want to also congrats anyone that had Silent Tactic who finished 2nd, who was a spot play on our power pick tip sheet, who I really liked underneath. And no, that horse paid $11.20 to place and $7.40 to show. And I heard from some people very nice compliments, some emails saying thanks for throwing that horse out there underneath, which gave some people nice exactas and trifectas who are part of the power pick tip sheet. So congratulate anyone who scored there. All right, this weekend, guys, $1,000 KDBC. No, we've talked about this before. Also NHC. Sorry, we've talked about this before. Excuse me. Also NHC seats on the line. And as Matt reiterated, Noah, when you have those 3 letters NHC, and it is now coming into the middle of January, February, we're talking, a little over 2 months away now to the NHC. I won't say desperation is kicking in, but people are starting to get, let's just say, a bit anxious, and I'm sure these contests are going to have big number of participants.
Yeah, I would expect some of the more, NHC-oriented contests that we'll be talking about within the next couple weeks and months will look a little bit more like the contest and the leaderboard that we just saw, where people are trying to hit those opinions a little bit harder and making some more aggressive plays in terms of some of the last races on the card and in the tournament too. So, people want to get there. They love it there. And, obviously it's a goal of a lot of horse players out there. So, they're going to make sure they get their best opportunity to get down to Vegas.
Noah, talk about what we see on the screen for this Saturday. I'll scroll down so people can see more details. And then we'll get into a few races people should focus on for the Fairgrounds in Tampa.
Yeah, this one's very similar to the contest that happened last Saturday, where they've got a combination of 2 tracks. Last week was Oaklawn and Aqueduct. This week is Fairgrounds and Tampa. Tampa card just came out a couple of hours ago, and Fairgrounds has been out for a little while. So, if you want to get started on your homework, you can go ahead and do so. We've got $500 bankroll, $500 prize pool. So this one is a little bit more than the one that we talked about on Saturday. And then if you scroll down, you'll have, of course, the information about prizes up to two NHC seats, excuse me. And then the additional entries in terms of how many people enter, and when the registration closes, will determine how many additional KDBCs there will be. I expect a lot of people to play, and I expect there to be obviously 2 NHC seats and probably 3 or 4 KDBC, if I had to guess.
Yep. So it's 1 for every 31. So again, take the number of people, divide by 31. That gives you the KDBC seats. 2 is the maximum NHC seats. And it says what additional one will be at 42. So it doesn't matter if there's 42 entries or 442 entries. There's going to be 2 KDBCs. 2 NHCs, excuse me.
Correct. And so that it makes the math a little weird, trying to figure out as the tournament's going on, how many KDBC seats will there be? Darren or Jeremy or someone on that team will likely update the prize section on the left once registration's closed, so you don't have to do any more math to figure out how many more seats there are. One interesting point to make about this tournament, an astute viewer could say, well, look, wasn't this pretty much the exact tournament last week? Except last week was for half the money that this week is. That was a $500 tournament, $250. This is a $1,000 tournament, $500. My answer is no. You do not take the totals from last time and just double them. First of all, those numbers were high. And they were aberrationally high, in my opinion. But I would say at some point, the value of the seat or the prize is going to determine how much money to go for in these tournaments. You just wouldn't see people battling it out for $20,000 in a tournament like this. That would just be, first of all, they'd never get there. But even if they did, it just wouldn't make any sense. And so my guess for this tournament is you're probably looking at totals higher than last week. But I would say I'm expecting the 5,500 to 6,000 range. I'd feel really good entering and getting to that number, but you never know.
Matt, quick question from Matt Majunkin, and then Noah, we're going to get into the handicapping. How does the TwinSpires handle it if you get more than 2 KDBC seats, Matt?
So here's the honest answer. I think I'm lucky enough to be sitting 4 or 5 of these things, and they are willing to play ball with you to an extent, meaning they expect you first and foremost to use them. They will give you contest credits if you are, and I can't promise this, so I'm speaking based on my own experience. I don't speak for Churchill or TwinSpires, but in my experience, I'll get contest credits. With this particular tournament, though, because they're promoting it so hard, they've said, look, we'll give you the credits if we need to, but ideally, would you try to find someone to buy this from you? And thankfully, I know enough people in the tournament space that are going to do this that I shouldn't have any trouble finding a couple people to do that. But the bottom line is, if you are overqualified, that's a good problem to have. And the TwinSpires people are not going to let you just burn a seat or something like that. They'll take care of you.
All right, there you go. There's your answer, Matt. Noah, let's get to Tampa. Here's Tampa. Big card. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow night, Picks and Ponies, myself, Pete Visco, and we have a guest, also Paul Haller, and of course we have a guest. Jason Beam is going to be on our show, guys. Track announcer at Tampa Bay. So we got Jason Beam, Pete and Paul, and myself tomorrow night. That's Thursday. Please check out our show for Picks and Ponies with covering this card, Noah. A few things that come to mind right away. First of all, there are some large fields, but there are 2 races in the middle of the card. They are the 2 stake race just happen to be, and they're only 6-horse fields. Is that everything people might take stands, Noah, or do you have some other places in mind where you have your eye on?
Yeah, well, like I said before, this card has only been out for so long.
Yeah.
So at first glance, yes, those would probably be some likely spots. A race that I'm actually interested in is the last race, and I do think the last race, correct me if I'm wrong, is a part of the tournament on Saturday, because I know there was a little niche with the rules last week where the last race at Oaklawn was a part of it.
Yes, all the races at both tracks are.
Okay,
I think
perfect.
part of the reason why they did that is because the Samari Jones was such a
Yeah.
big race.
Yeah.
They figured they'd just end it there. I'm assuming that was their reasoning.
Race
Yeah, so
9 at Fairgrounds and 10 at Tampa.
Yes, yeah, it's all. Yep. Go ahead, Noah.
Yeah, so the horse that I've actually been interested in for a while is the horse you just scrolled by, the number 1 for William Walden. That's the Palace Girl, German bred, who ran at Keeneland. And obviously, if you don't know me, I'm very versed with the Keeneland form. And this was a horse that went into the race on October 23rd and hadn't run for over a year. And I believe she was 8-1 or 10-1 on the morning line. And boy, she really got hammered at the windows. I mean, there were some truckloads on her, and for good reason. I mean, she had been working like a monster. She outworked an older colt at the time, I believe, from the William Walden barn. And she goes out and she doesn't run a step at all. I don't know what happened. She's been off since, but I watched her work at Palmetto's on December 21st, and it was as good as I remembered. So clearly something went wrong. They throw the blinkers on her. It just seems like one of those horses that Walden's been, keeping an eye on and always thought highly of her. And I do like the inside post. Obviously, I mentioned blinkers on, so maybe Zayas will have her a little bit forward. It's just one of those horses that I've had my eye on for a long time. Or if I get to this race and she's an appealing price, I can't get myself to talk myself to go anywhere else.
Yeah, I don't know what her price is going to be. The morning lines are not out yet, as far as I know. We will find out. That's very interesting. And then the two, I'm just looking at the 2 6-horse stake races. No, again, we don't have morning lines, but one of them is the Gasparilla, which is again, these are preview races for some bigger races they have later in the meet. It's a sprinting race for 3-year-old fillies. And if you just glance down the PPs, you'd have to think this horse Tessellate for Safi is going to take a ton of money. And maybe Proctor's horse Lightscape, because Proctor is 5 for 9. How about that, guys? 5 for 9 at Tampa Bay Downs this meet so far. So a Glen Hill Farm horse. Matt and I know that farm very well because it was very popular in Chicago. So just quick glance. No, that looks like it could be a 2-horse race between these two that you see on the screen there. And then the next race, which is the Wayward Lass, which is older females going 2 turns. Again, it's a little bit more wide open, but you just glance through the field. Looks like Runaway Diva is certainly going to take a good bit of money. And maybe Andrea for Safi. There we go again, Matt. A low buyer from Mahoning, but some big back numbers. I have a feeling Andrea and Drexel Hill, who's a name that some people might know, finished second in the Oaks, Matt, coming back off a good effort in the Mother Goose. Losing to Fully Subscribed No, who is maybe the best middle distance filly running right now in the States. I could see some big plays coming in those 2 races, Matt.
I agree. In part, it's because they're stakes races, and there tends to be a somewhat strange infatuation that tournament players have with stakes races. That they somehow think that they're more predictable. I always win the stakes races. It's just the other races I don't win. I don't know. Maybe they're just more enjoyable, but for me, it's the shorter fields that make those races attractive. Just less risk, ability to hone in and hit something a little bit harder. But actually, I think Noah's pick in the last race is probably the more valuable tip to be giving out here, just because we know that last race is so critical to these tournaments, that to have a pick that you actually like, as opposed to being forced to make one. I don't know if I'm going to be able to play in this one myself. I think it's family Avatar at the movies day, but I would be saving that pick in the last race for sure, Noah, if I were playing.
Well, Matt, I'm sorry, Noah, go ahead.
Yeah, I will say, Howard, just to piggyback off of race 7, that 5-horse Andrea, there are 2 speed horses in the race, and they're both Safi. So I think they're probably going to let Andrea go, which means, you could find herself being one of the more likely winners in some scenarios where people use that race to kind of springboard and set them up for the last race.
Now, I know, Matt, you didn't mean to misguide people, but just for perfect accuracy, it's the last race at Tampa that we're talking about, which is 5:09 Eastern, but that is not not the last race of the contest, because as we go to the Fairgrounds, the last race and at the Fairgrounds, Matt, is 5:45 Eastern. So there's actually two more races after that last race at Tampa. Just that's important for clarification purposes.
Critical. Great point. Didn't realize that. Totally agree. Still nice to have a good late in the card pick, but
For sure.
you're still going to be left with having to find a winner in that last race.
No, we got some steak races. There's some Louisiana bred steak races. There's a mix of larger fields and smaller fields. There is a steak race that is small in race 5. I frankly have not had a chance to look over these races yet. In all fairness to Noah, I'm not sure if he's looked in detail, but I'm sure you glance over some things and have some suggestions for our wonderful contest players who want to give you credit, Noah, for going to Las Vegas in 2 months.
Well, if I am, it's going to be with a beginning play in race 2 at Fairgrounds. It's an 8-horse field, 6 furlongs on the dirt. I think you can split up your entries between the number 2 Berlane and the number 4 Slam Diego, who ran 1-2 last time. Gun to head, I'd prefer the 2 a little bit more, and she might be a better price come post time. But she really did the dirty work in that race. Took over advantage and was a length clear, just got run down a little bit late. She's going to be the speed type, and there is a little bit of speed to her outside, but if she's able to clear from the inside, I think she'll be tough. And then if horses like the 5 and the 6 put pressure on her, then it's going to set it up for the 4. So you got 2-1 on the 4 and 5-2 on the 2. Hopefully you would get somewhere around that price on both of those. I think you could lock it up with those 2.
No, the way you end your PHP shows, I'm surprised you don't like this 5. But yeah, well, listen, we gotta. I don't even want to go there with Mamba, one of my favorite basketball players of all time, and Kobe Bryant. Even though I'm a Midwest guy, mad respect for Kobe. So I love that name. So Noah thinks maybe the 2 and the 4 are the horses you want to go to. Anywhere else later in the card, Noah, at the Fairgrounds on Saturday for the $1,000 KDBC and NHC contest, sponsored by TwinSpires.
Yeah, well, if Fairgrounds race 9 is going to be the actual last race of the contest, I guess we better go ahead and talk about it. I'm going to try to dethrone the 6 Good Sugar. She's been a little tough to beat and has kind of beaten some similar foes. I think if she loses, if he loses, it's going to be on Saturday. The sort of rock in the shoe, I think, for Go Sugar on Saturday is going to be the 2-horse Sir Wellington, who honestly I think he has an outside chance, but he's definitely going to be speedy, and Paco is certainly going to be sending from the inside, which could make things a little bit tough on the 6 and tire him out a little bit late. If that does happen, it's going to set up for horses like the 5 El Dinero, who hasn't been able to get him yet, but if he does, it's going to be on Saturday. And then another interesting runner is the 1, who's kind of the fresh face of the race, has been routing as of late, but has numbers that certainly fit. So if he can get back to those numbers around 1 turn, I think things could really set up for him. So 1, 5, maybe even the 2. I'm just trying to beat the 6 in that race.
No, how's your French been lately? Because Matt, sometimes we like to make fun of our family members, and Noah's an extremely smart young man, but even he would admit at times a few pronunciation issues. And with Kyle Roscoe, that would be Benoit, of course, the number 1 if we want to go. And of course, because we have that Cajun feel, the number 6, great spelling, Go Sugar. The spelling Go, of course, with the French and sort of Cajun connection there. I actually know
you're going.
What's that, Matt?
That's where I thought you were going, was the Go Sugar, not the Benoit.
Well, both of them. I actually know these horses pretty well, Matt, as we're going to end the show here in a few minutes. I know these horses well just by glancing, because I've bet these 2 sprint races in Louisiana. They have these like state bred days, Matt, and some of these horses have faced each other. I was against Go Sugar quite a bit last time. He ran a huge race, but he usually quits. I shouldn't say usually quits. He's a nice horse, but at times he quits. I've bet El Dinero a few times. I'm just sick of him not getting there, to be very honest. I think Noah brings up a really good point, Matt, because Sir Wellington at 20-1 with Paco, even though he's already 8, you think he's going to send from the inside. And the way Paco rides aggressively, I don't know if he can out quick Go Sugar early, but he's sure as hell going to try most likely, and that would definitely change the pace complexion. Maybe set up for, I'll throw a name out there that I've been chasing a little bit, which is Hey Jude. Hey Jude did not run well last time at all, but Jose Ortiz sticks on, guys, And again, that sort of yin yang kind of thing. I can see him running a big race. I don't know if he's going to win the race, but no, I'm not going to sing. Don't worry about it, man.
Okay.
I know where you're going. Don't worry. I'll spare you. I'll spare you and everyone else today.
If he wins.
I think Hey Jude is a bit interesting here, but again, I would have to deep dive into this race. The last race, Matt, of the contest Saturday.
Agreed. And if you end up playing him and he wins, we'd like to hear you sing it. That would be fun.
All right. Well, of course, I won't be on. I can't do it live because I will be. I will be on the show.
We'll all be waiting.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Shall we get to our tip of the week before closing out, sir?
We shall.
Okay. The concept I wanted to cover was one of, and it's almost an offensive sounding term, extra money. Okay, no one has extra money. I get that. But in the context of a tournament, the question is, do you need to be taking chances to get money that you may not need? And so we don't need to, but if we went back and looked at that place bet in the last race of the tournament, I get it. The horse won. It would have been great to get 5-2, but the person making that bet didn't need 5-2 in that spot. They wanted a very safe feeling spot of being able to get first or second, and they knew that the place money they'd be getting was enough to get them where they wanted to go. That's at the end of a tournament. The same thing happens at the midpoint, where maybe there's a horse you like, maybe you're sitting at a pretty good total already, where you feel like I have enough to bet the last race and follow my plan. I would look at you and say, why are you playing this other horse you like? For what? It doesn't get you to your total number that you're looking for anyway. Go play it in cash, go play it on the side, or just root like a normal person, do what you got to do. But I would just stress the importance of not overshooting or undershooting the mark. And in this particular case, overshooting the mark, yeah, it's a problem. It sounds nice to have, but I would look at someone finishing in a tournament like this with thousands and thousands extra and say, gosh, nice job, but you really could have redeployed your money better to give yourself multiple chances to win instead of the huge one that did win. So bottom line, just be intentional with your bets and don't just think that having extra money helps. You need a plan for that extra money. And if you don't have one, don't take the risk for it.
More great advice from Matt Miller. And I didn't mean to put that up on the screen. I want to end by, this is breaking news, even to Noah, who's going to be hosting the show, because Noah, I was waiting to see what would happen with the times and whatnot. Now that we have times, and I'm literally adjusting something as we speak right now, and that is a banner I want to put up for this particular contest, which I'm putting up right now. The times I think we're going to go with for Weekend Warriors. Okay, I think we're ready there. Yeah, we're going to go 4:30 to 6 Eastern, as long as that works with Noah and Jackson Muniz. So you don't have to say yes right now, Noah, but I'm assuming you're good with that. The plan right now is 4:30 to 6 for the $1,000 KDBC NHC qualifier at Tampa and Fairgrounds. I'll put you on the spot. Does that work for you, Noah?
Yeah, that's perfect. See you on Saturday.
All right, there you go. I will not be there. Matt, I don't believe you're going to be there as well, right? So we're going to have Noah and Jackson. That's all people need. I mean, let the young bucks take over. They don't need us old curmudgeons to give them advice anymore. So what do we got there? Something called a phone, Matt?
The Turfway contest going on right now. Jackson's in first. So I think you're in good hands with him.
Yeah, we're definitely in good hands. So Noah and Jackson will be taking care of Weekend Wars this Saturday, 4:30 to 6. And just to let you know, Noah, that'll be cover about 5 races total. The last 2, if I counted correctly, about the last 2 at Tampa and then the last 3 at Fairgrounds. So we got a quick trigger finger there, Noah, because you're going to be switching around on the dial, so to speak, from back and forth. Final thoughts matter, Noah, and we will wrap it up. Okay, no thoughts. There we go.
I got nothing.
Go Bears, Matt. How about that for final thought on Saturday night? There we go. Go Rams. When do the Rams play, Noah?
It's actually during the show, so you best know that I'll have a screen on the other side.
Uh-oh. Matt, there might be a little distraction there.
I don't know. Look, in fairness, you put it to him on the spot, and he had his priorities in order on the spot to say yes. So I think he gets some extra claps for that.
All right, we're gonna have to hold him to it then. I don't want to. Well, I don't, Matt. Sometimes when students have a test and students get the old test flu, like all of a sudden, ooh, I don't want to hear no. I don't want to text from Noah, Matt, at 10 in the morning on Saturday. Geez, I'm starting to not feel well, and then all of a sudden I here he's watching the game. So
you don't have to worry. You don't have to worry. I'll be there.
One of those huge popcorn buckets at this. I mean, I'm going all out. So.
All right. Well, thanks for watching the show and really appreciate episode 9 of the leaderboard. We're almost up to double digits. Just to let everyone know, last thing, this show is scheduled to go through the middle of February, and then we hope to continue on after that. So we have at least one more month of the show and our coverage with TwinSpires contest. But Matt, we've heard a lot of great things from TwinSpires. We anticipate that we're going to be going on much longer than next month with them. We'll cross our fingers. For Noah Maher and Matt Miller, this has been your host, Howard Kravitz, episode 9 of The Leaderboard. Crush your bets this Saturday in any TwinSpires contest you play. Take care, everyone. Have a great night. Bye-bye.
If you have not followed his Triple H horse racing podcast, you're missing out. It's one of the best podcasts in the country.